because the morning committees in the Senate have been shut down. So that happens every year. Don't ask me why, but it does. So with that, we do have citizen comments on some of our judge appointments. And the first witness is Grace Peer. And I don't know, Grace, if you join us at the table, please.
Thank you.
And
And Peggy, if you can,
Yes, of course.
we've got about, I prefer to have this about 15 minutes, and I see you've got a lot of books.
I've been told I have 15 minutes. The
Okay.
books are a visual for everyone. And when it is my turn to address the council, I will explain the books.
Okay, well, we're ready for you right now.
I am Grace Michelle Peer, speaking on behalf of myself and my daughter, Holly May Peer, KALIMAYPEER. Thank you. The books that I brought are The Art of the Watchdog by Feldman and Eichenthal. To Protect and Serve by Norm Stamper. Breaking Rank by Norm Stamper. And Shark in the Tank by Norm Stamper. I have also brought Managing Policy Reform by Brinker-Hoff and Crosby. Concepts and Tools for Decision Makers in Developing and Transitioning Countries. You'd be amazed at how this applies to Vermont. I've also brought Through the Eyes of an Innocent Child by Mersada Alemek-Helek, and A Child Called It by Dave Pelzer. I think these are all very appropriate reading materials for me right now as I pursue justice for me and my daughter. I also have a very old book called Community Power Structure, a Study of Decision Makers by Floyd Hunter. Very appropriate that my great-grandfathers put together a system that does not work, has not worked, and is so similar to 1920s that it's pathetic. Also, I have the book by James Comey, A Higher Loyalty. This book has allowed me to understand that what happened to my daughter and I is torture. If the rape of a federal prisoner, if the concept of making a federal prisoner feel like they are going to die, and their life is consistently on a daily basis threatened, and that is called torture. What happened to my daughter and I from 2013 to 2014 is, by definition, torture. And that is a very important book for me. James Comey's A Higher Loyalty, Truth, Lies, and Leadership. I keep asking people to help. Everyone says, we cannot help you. We're here to help you, but we cannot help you. So we're going to have to work our way through how you all can help me and my daughter. I have quickly this morning wrapped my mind about what I want to say to you all in 15 minutes. And I say everything that Norm Stamper, James Comey, and the others in these books that I'm reading are saying. We all have to choose together who will lead us, rule us, judge us, protect us. And that is why I am here, to participate, to provide my personal opinions of Dixon Corbett, so that real life events are part of these decision-making processes. Appointing a judge. Very important processes. Thank you for the opportunity to be present right here in this moment in person, where you can see that I am not mentally ill. I am not illiterate, incompetent, or immoral. I am a mother, a daughter. I am Grace Michelle Peer. Welcome to my life in the aftermath of the horror. You all see the photographs. That is what I survived. What did my daughter survive? We do not know. No one will allow her to speak. I said, no, don't, and stop. And those 3 words were manipulated to be, no, don't stop. No, you want more. Fighting for our lives. The state of Vermont has insisted that my daughter and I are not allowed to report the criminals who committed crimes against us, and that action is illegal. That action of not allowing us to report is illegal. A sick perversion of the law. Dixon Corbett personally dictated to me to make sure that Brian Postler, one of the criminals involved, that Brian Postler's needs were met. The morning after Brian Postler raped me, sodomized me, calling me by his wife's name, her nickname, Jules. I was naked, and he had his rifle at my forehead, and my daughter was screaming, call 911. The police came, the gun disappeared, and the next day Corbett Dixon was inviting me to make sure that Brian Postler had heart medication, clothing, and shoes, and did not ask about me and my daughter, and hung up the phone. And the next conversation, I was screaming, they are going to kill me. I am not
Would
going
you address
to
this
the
committee,
Fairleigh
please? Ma'am,
Motel.
would you address the committee and not the witness?
And as I am in the throes of anguish, I was told, no, you are going to the Fairleigh Motel. And I decided I was not going to die that day or any day at the hands of criminals. And so I refused to go to the Fairleigh Motel. Femicide in Vermont Perhaps you know a few of these names. Carmen Turleton. When I was working at the Dartmouth College real estate office as the Upper Valley rental list manager, no one could speak to Carmen because of her appearance. And they asked me to come up front, and I assisted Carmen in putting her house for rent on my Upper Valley rental list. I know her personally. I also was driven past her house as a threat to my life more than once by Brian Fosler. Jenna Tatro. I sat down with Dawn Tatro. She told me the story of Jenna quitting heroin, going to get a job at a car dealership, and having the owners of that dealership say, "We cannot hire her. She's a heroin addict. Once a heroin addict, always a heroin addict." Jenna went back to using heroin because she was so crushed by their words as she went out the door after her job interview. And now she is dead. Leah Rosen Pritchard, a new one. How is this possible? These women keep turning up dead. Mary Anderson, Fern Feather. You know who's not dead? My daughter is not dead. We don't know where she is. It's been 4 years since they arrested her for trying to report crimes and criminals to Vermont State Police, and they disappeared her. And when she disappeared, they refused to look for her. It's been 4 years. I am shattering the silence, uncovering the tracks that have been covered up so conveniently. And I'm saving lives, essential lives, human lives, American lives. My daughter is a people-to-people ambassador. You may not know what that is, but it took a lot for us to get her on that European people-to-people ambassador trip. She turned 13 on a ferry between Greece and Venice, and then went to Italy and France and came home to death threats. She was 13. Status quo. A definition by Google is the existing state of affairs, especially regarding social or political issues. And the definition is turned into a sentence for us. They have a vested interest in maintaining the status quo. And that is what I am up against. Our issues, my daughter and I, our issues are both social and political, and we are constantly fighting the status quo of Vermont. Who you are is reflected to the world by your actions. Shallow, narrow, short-sighted, easy positions and actions should not be allowed, and I will not allow it. Should not be the status quo. I repeat, shallow, narrow, short-sighted, easy positions and actions should not be the status quo. I am setting a very high bar to address rape, torture, and murder, along with other crimes that these criminals have committed, which is why they want me dead. I have my investigation materials, and they are growing as I get more and more reports. Where did the gun go? Where is that police report? Who shot the gun down the driveway when I was disallowed protection and service? We're going to find out where that report is. I am a Dartmouth College employee, a Vermont Tech employee. I hold a fully endorsed commercial Vermont CDL license, one that I got in New Jersey. I am New Jersey strong, truly New Jersey strong. I went through tray board training, confined space entry health and safety training, hazardous waste operations training. I also have hazards at critical control point training for seafood, because the job I had before I left New Jersey was in the shellfish market. And I went to Monmouth University.
I have not heard yet. And you've got about 3 minutes left.
I'm
What
done.
this has to do with Dixon Corbett?
I'm done, sir.
You're done?
I am.
I don't know what it has to do with Dixon Corbett, and I'd appreciate, maybe the next witness can help me understand what he did or didn't do, or why you believe that he should not become a judge.
Let me go back to the beginning. I lost the card. Okay, I am not going to need that card. I'll tell you exactly what Dixon Corbett did. It was spelled out so nicely on the card, but that's okay. Dixon Corbett was the person who reached out to me saying that he was taking care of the situation between me and one of the people trying to murder me. He was appointed our case. He acted not as a representative of the court in the position he was in at the time, and Mr. Walcott can fill you in on what that position was. He addressed me as if he was the defense attorney for Brian Postler and cared nothing in the, I believe, 5 days that I was in conversation with Mr. Dixon Corbett. Not once did he ask about me or my daughter or what happened. Every phone call was about Brian Postler and what I need to do to allow Brian Postler his right to freedom. Dixon Corbett was in the court when Brian Postler, instead of being put in jail for not abiding by the judge's rules and staying away from us, Dixon Corbett and the judge let Brian Postler free again. And every time Brian Postler has a free moment, he tries to murder me. Dixon Corbett did nothing, and that is what I am here to let you understand.
Appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Much more helpful.
Thank you for the time
You're welcome.
you gave me.
I assume it's Mr. Walcott.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that Grace did a great job. And Peggy, if you can hand these out. Yeah, so I think that the legal term here for what happened regarding Dixon Corbett would be negligence, gross negligence. But, in 2015, I met Grace Michelle Pierre and decided to help her figure out what happened on those 5 months in the year 2014 in Thetford. I have provided those documents to each of you, and they also have been posted on the website. And I actually had an email exchange with Dixon Corbett in 2017 and ran a lot of this stuff by him again, based on my investigation. I would urge you to take the time to read that before you vote. It's going to show, and that document is Pierre Thetford violence and the failure of law enforcement. At that time, it just is incredible that he would not have known that this child was in imminent danger. And yet, for a period of 5 months, he did nothing. Also, those documents will show that the Thetford Police Department has currently a cop on duty who lied to the state police. And that's a matter of documentation. They've been informed of that. They have done nothing about it. And so that was basically the environment in which Dixon Corbett practiced as assistant DA, I think he was back then. And it just is incredible that he did not have knowledge of what was going on in that community. So again, the correct term here is negligence, and put a mother and daughter in danger every day that he did not act.
And then was angry that I left the state.
Okay, no, this is Mr. Walcott's turn.
Right, and Grace did not mention that she actually had to flee the state, and she put her daughter into 2 safe houses. And as you can see with the document in front of you, Kali has had a very hard time since that trauma. She's been reliving it and in and out of hospitalization. And we haven't heard from her in probably at least a year, maybe 2 years now. But 4 years. But that didn't have to happen. And a DA has discretion. What I got quoted back from Dixon Corbett was just, letter of the law, what he could and could not do, but he could have protected them. That's basically the essence of my testimony.
Could you be a little clearer about Officer Rogers and his role in all of
Oh,
this?
sure. Did you read?
I'm reading it right now.
Well, I can give you much more documentation.
No, if you can just tell me, it sounds like from your perspective and from your allegations that Officer Rogers failed to do his job, and then your conversation with Rick
Well,
Gothia.
Actually, I recovered the state police report, and which you made statements to that police officer, Stroop, who has since retired. And that document is in that 54-page document that I provided to each member.
Yeah.
You can follow that.
Yeah.
So I followed. What I did was tried to find that report that he alleged to have made. And I spoke with the secretary of the police department at the time, which I think they were sharing with Norwich, and there is no such document. No report was ever made. Also, if you can look at the Maggie Cassidy's reporting of, as you know, there was a lot of turmoil back then in 2014, Thetford.
That you also spoke to Richard Gothia.
I did. Yeah.
And did you ever speak to Mr. Dixon Corbett about it?
About that report?
Yeah.
No, I didn't. That occurred after our back and forth, because I don't think I had that document or that.
Well, I guess I'm trying to get at, was he aware of your allegations regarding Officer Rogers?
Quote it.
Thank you.
And Rogers is still on duty. And and Dave and the new chief Evans down there has all this documentation as well. He has done nothing. And I've spoken with the criminal counsel. I can't recall the name of it now. The criminal counsel.
Criminal justice.
Yeah, I've worked with them many times. And
Yeah, that's the, well, Richard Gottlieb is no longer there.
Right.
That was what his job was.
right.
Um,
And the interim, whose name I can't recall, but he did call Davis and report.
so Officer Rogers was a member of the Thetford Police
Correct.
Department.
Yeah,
Who, and you contacted the chief of the Thetford Police Department.
correct,
And he basically did nothing.
correct.
Well, I mean, there's always two sides to every story, but
Well, there isn't in this because the documents exist. I can document. In other words, the statement to the
Well-
state police and then the absence of the report on record.
well, from the pictures you provided, it obviously is horrific assault. So.
So basically my suggestion to the committee is please take a careful look into this carefully. I just think that
Unfortunately, and I don't want to,
you're voting
I'm
today.
saying this, the legislative session is over in a week and a half,
Yeah,
and we don't have an investigative arm of the Senate Judiciary Committee like they do in Washington, and we don't have the ability but I hope that we can at least find out more about this before we just make a decision regarding Mr. Corbett's appointment as the judge.
Well, I think that would be greatly appreciated.
So with that, if you have anything else you'd like to let us know.
No, just really look through the documents I provided because they're quite detailed.
Would like to give Mr. Corbett an opportunity to respond to this. But I'm running out of time, so.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you. I would ask, Peggy, if we can arrange the schedule a little bit tomorrow to allow Mr. Corbett a chance to take a look at some of this, and if he's available either remotely or in person to respond to this.
Hello. I'm happy to answer any questions the committee has. I'm happy to do it right now. That's all.
Well, I don't have the time right now. That's the problem is we're on a, no, I'd like them to come back tomorrow. I'd like to rearrange the schedule and have them back tomorrow morning if you're available.
8:45?
Yeah. And Senator Campbell, if you'd like to speak, that's fine too. I'm tomorrow morning. I mean, if there's any testimony you want to offer, we'll hear from you tomorrow as well. Is that all right with everybody? I'm ready to vote on Robert Cadence to be appointed as Superior Court judge. We did hear from him.
Are we providing these documents to Dixon?
Have you've seen these documents?
They're on the website.
Thank you. I'll find them on the website.
Thank you. Is there a motion to report favorably the appointment of?
I move that we report favorably the appointment of Robert Cadams as a Superior Court judge.
Senator Bohowski has moved that we report favorably Robert Cadams as a Superior Court judge. Is there any further discussion? Well, that's good. So, Peggy, would you please call the roll?
Senator Baru,
Yes.
Senator Norris,
Yes.
Senator Husky.
Yes.
Senator Hashim.
Yes.
Senator Sears.
Yes. Who from Chittenden County would like to report on this gentleman from Chittenden County?
I'm happy to do it.
Oh, thank you, Senator. Senator Booth didn't jump up.
I know,
I
he-
expected him to jump right quick to that opportunity. Congratulations. First step. Now we'll see how the roll call goes tomorrow. Or actually, we have to wait 5 days, I believe. So that's not our fault that you'll be on the calendar for 5 days. So.
Well, that gives me a few days to write a floor report.
Yeah. Good. The next appointment is for Kevin Christie as a member of the Human Rights Commission. This is a reappointment of Representative Christie. Senator Baruch has moved that we report appointment favorably. Is there any further discussion on Coach Christie? Hearing none. Peggy, would you please call the roll?
Senator Baru,
Yes.
Senator Norris,
Yes.
Senator Husky. Yes. Senator Hashim.
Yes.
Senator Sears.
Yes. All right, who would like to report on Coach Christie? Senator Baru, that would be very appropriate. Eric, thank you for being here. I have to take a 20-second break.